UFC 302 is taking place in a few weeks' time in New Jersey, and as of right now, as you can see here by the fights that have been made so far, it's not looking like the best card ever. You know, we've got a couple of decent prelim fights, but there's nothing that's worthy of being on the main card of a pay-per-view. So I've built what is the best main card possible for this fight card. Obviously, just a few weeks after, there's International Fight Week. So when I originally made this card, it was very stacked, and then I realised there was no fights left for International Fight Week. So I will make another card builder for that card in a few days' time. But first, here's the best possible fight card that you can have for UFC 302 on June 1st. So there's two title fights on this card, both of which are rematches, where in the first fight we got kind of anticlimactic results. Didn't get to find out who the better fighter was. And the main event of this one got the best heavyweight in the world, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Beatboxer Blades. And yeah, I think this is a fight that has to happen next. Obviously, they fought once before in Manchester. Tom got injured 15 seconds into the fight. Obviously, since then, Blades, he lost to Pavlovich, came back, beat Almeida, knocked him out in the second round. Obviously, Tom came back from that injury, knocked out Marcin Tybura, and then knocked out Sergey Pavlovich to become the real heavyweight champion of the world. I know it says interim, but he's the real champ. Everyone knows it. And yeah, this makes sense to happen next. Obviously, you got Cyril Gane calling for a title shot. No, go fight Pavlovich. But yeah, we didn't get a real winner of the first fight. Even Blade said himself it's not a real win. And yeah, this makes sense. The winner should fight Jones, but realistically, the winner of this will just end up getting promoted to undisputed world champ when Jones eventually fights Stipe and retires, because he does not want to fight either of these guys. I do believe Tom would win. I believe he would knock him out in round one. But Blades is a good challenge for him. We've seen recently Blades, he's improved quite a lot. And every time he gets towards looking like he's going to get a title shot, he loses. We've seen that against Derek Lewis, seen that against Pavlovich. Both of those fights, if he won, he probably would have gone on to fight for a belt next. But this time he's going to get a shot against Tom. Realistically, it is the undisputed world title fight. And yeah, that's what I think should be the main event of this card. The co-main event, we've got another title fight. This time it is an actual undisputed title fight. Had an anticlimactic result the first time, and that's Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, my favourite fighter of all time versus one of my least favourite fighters of all time. And yeah, I think this makes sense as the co-main event. Obviously, Leon's English and Tom's English, so if they're not going to fight in England, which I'm not sure why the UFC didn't go to England in May instead of going to Brazil, then they put them on the same card. You know, a lot of people don't want this as a pay-per-view main event. I can see why. I think the only place it would make sense is if it was the main event in England. But I think this as a co-main event would be huge. Obviously, they are the clear two best in the division right now. They're not the most popular guys, but I've put them in a co-main event with a banger main event and a banger main card, which I have made for this fight. I think it makes sense. I do think Leon would win. I think he'd make it look kind of easy. I think he'd finish him. We saw in that first fight, Leon was kind of dominating Bilal. Wasn't a 10-8 or anything, but he had him rocked a few times. Although that was short notice for Bilal. Leon was supposed to fight Hamzat. Bilal took on short notice. Since then, they've both gone on crazy win streaks. Also, Leon KO'd Usman for the belt. Beat Diaz before that. Beat Usman again to defend his belt. And Colby. Bilal's beating like Maya, Burns, Luke, Brady. He's gone on a great one himself. And yeah, this makes sense next. Then I think, depending on who wins this, I think if Leon defends, then he'll then defend after that against Shavkat or JDM. And I think if Bilal wins, then you do the trilogy, because Leon's earned it after his title run so far. Next fight, we go to the middleweight division. Old veteran of the division who's fought for the belt multiple times, taking on a young prospect. I think this is a great matchup. I've not heard anyone say anything about this before. That's Jared Cannonier versus Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez, in his last fight, he got a round 2 submission, I believe, against Roman Kopylov. Made it look easy. He just put an insane amount of pressure on him, choked him out in round 2. And Jared Cannonier's last fight, obviously he just beat the shit out of Marvin Vettori, to be honest. He was supposed to fight Delidze. He got injured. That's what's kept him at the octagon for so long. I think if he fights on this card, it would be about a year. And he's one fight away from a title shot, in my opinion. He beat Sean, who then became champ after. He beat Vettori. Obviously, he lost to Izzy before the Sean fight, but then before that, again, he knocked out Brunson. He beat Gastelum. And I think if he beats Anthony Hernandez, it's kind of hard to deny him of a title shot. If Hernandez wins, I don't think he will get a title shot. I think he'll have to fight one more, maybe Izzy, but I doubt he'll stick around if he loses his next fight. Maybe a Sean Strickland. Just someone else at the top in a number one contender fight. But yeah, I think this would be a great addition to the main card. Young, hungry, rising contender against one of the oldest veterans in the division who stayed at the top for a long time. So yeah, Jared Cannonier versus Anthony Hernandez. In the next fight, we go back to the welterweight division. Now, this does depend on some other results that happen, fights that happen soon. But I do feel confident in no matter who wins that fight would be a good matchup, and that's Wonder Boy versus Joaquin Buckley. Obviously, Buckley's fighting Luque next weekend. I do think he's going to win, but even if Luque wins, I think this fight makes sense next. If it is Wonder Boy versus Luque, it's a rematch from about 5 years ago now, I think. Wonder Boy won that fight kind of clearly, but Luque has become a lot better since then. He's beat a lot of guys. If he beats Buckley, that's another great win. And if Buckley wins, he deserves a top 10 opponent. He took this fight on relatively short notice, about 5 weeks. And if he beats Luque, who I think is number 11, I think Wonder Boy's then number 7. Makes sense for him. He has turned around a few times quite quickly. He fought like 5 times in the space of a year, so I don't think he'd have a problem making 2.5 month turnaround maybe for this fight. And yeah, I think it'd be a good fight, a great addition to a main card. You could also have it as a fight night headliner, but I'm not sure they would. It'd probably just be wasted in the Apex, no in the UFC. But yeah, I think this makes sense next. If Wonder Boy wins, then you can give him like a Colby or an Ian Gary. If Buckley wins, you can probably also give him a Colby or an Ian Gary. I know he's had some issues with them in the past. He's had issues with everyone, to be honest. But yeah, good addition to the main card. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Joaquin Buckley. Last fight that I've made for this card, we go to the heavyweight division. A guy who won a couple of weeks ago, beat an unranked contender, and it's a fight that should have happened a long time ago. I'm not sure how it hasn't happened yet, and that's Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Derek Lewis. I think we all agreed they should be next for them. They were supposed to fight, but then Blades pulled out against Almeida and Lewis stepped in. Since then, Lewis obviously lost to Almeida, and Jairzinho obviously beat Gaziev. And yeah, I think it should happen next. The winner can get a top 5, probably a top 10 opponent. It'd probably end up as a first round KO either way, because we've seen these guys do that a lot, just standing the octagon and swing. Lewis's last win, he obviously got a 30-second KO. And yeah, I think it'd be a great fight. Good way to open up a main card as well, get a highlight before we go on to the next few fights. And yeah, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Derek Lewis to open up the card. We'll just go through it again. Wonder Boy versus Buckley, Hernandez versus Cannonier, and then the 2 title fights of Leon versus Bilal and Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. I think that's a great main card. Obviously, there's not been a single main card fight announced yet. The card's in about 2 and a bit months, so we'll probably start getting some announcements soon. I do think Tom Aspinall could potentially main event the Manchester card, and that's another card builder that I've made that I'm going to post soon. I don't think he will be on that card. It is a fight night. I do think Tom's a big enough star now to be headlining pay-per-views, especially if you get a double header with him and Leon. Yeah, I think it's a great card. A lot of great matchups. Yeah. I'm not sure what video I'm going to post tomorrow. Obviously, we've got fight day tomorrow. I've not made a main card prediction for that card, and I doubt I will. Might just come out with another fight breakdown for one of the fights on UFC 300. I'm going to make some individual ones of that for some of the big fights like the Charles fight and the Gaethje fight. But yeah, that's my main card for UFC 302 in a few months time, sorry. And yeah, thanks for watching.